Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to episode 75 of the GVGCast. I'm your host for today. After a whole month, I'm finally back in the hosting seat. I'm your host for today, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Derrick Bittner and Steve Bowling. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. We're going to welcome the weekend, and how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Honestly, a little tired because I did a lot of cooking today. Like,
Nice.
I went for an intensive meal. I tried for the first time ever making ratatouille,
Oh wow.
and
Wow, okay. Very nice.
and I think it came out all right. Kids didn't like it, but hey, I liked it. So that was all right. I was also preparing meals because just to follow up on what I was doing last week. You know how I said I was doing that marathon, Ash, the subathon for my
Right.
birthday? It was so successful, I had to carry it on to this Saturday.
Oh
Nice.
Like
wow.
Love
I've
to
not
hear.
been able to finish the games. Like I'm still the last game I finished was Turtles in Time Arcade.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I still have uh, Turtles 3 on Game Boy, the two of the Tournament Fighters, Hyperstone Heist, Turtles in Time SNES, and Shredder's
Oh, yeah.
Revenge. So
And you did all the Game Boy games already?
the last Game Boy game is the Radical Rescue.
Okay, so you're
Yeah,
doing. Oh, I missed you saying Radical Rescue.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's which is an interesting one too, because it's one of the earliest like representations of a Metroidvania on handheld. Of course, there's
Yeah.
Metroid 2, but you never would have expected TMNT to go
I'm
into a
very cu-
Metroidvania format.
I'm very curious about that one because I only owned the first Game Boy game as a kid, and I played the second Game Boy game as part of this, and holy crap, that game's trash.
You know, it's funny. And maybe it's because I have a lot of good childhood memories with it, but I actually really like the second game.
The
I don't know. It's
It's
weird.
unique in some ways, but the animations are so janky,
Yeah,
and
they
it's
are.
tough. It is
It is.
shockingly tough.
If you think that's tough, wait for Radical Rescue. That's even
Really,
harder. Oh yeah,
really.
definitely. And but I will say, every Game Boy game's soundtrack slaps,
Oh, that's true.
including Back from the Sewers. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of good memories of that game. Played it a lot as a kid, but when I did play it in the Cowabunga collection, I was like, I still like it, but I can see why it doesn't necessarily hold up for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, you'll be excited about this, Ash. In just that first stream, we hit our goal.
Nice. Yeah,
Mega
I was
Mania
actually.
is unlocked.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I was actually tagged in our Discord by a few of our community members saying that you'd made it, which I'm super happy about. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So now since we're still going, my chat insisted on we need stretch goals. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
So I came up with stretch goals where it's Mega Man related games. So now it's
Oh,
possible for me to play Mighty Number Nine, Mighty Gunvolt
yes.
Burst, all of the Azure Striker Gunvolt games, including the rhythm
Uh-huh.
game. I have it on there, and then 20XX and 30XX.
Nice.
So
Those are really cool. But obviously, except for Mighty Number Nine, but Mighty Gunvolt Burst, you'll be finally be forced to admit that it's actually good. It actually is. I promise.
harumph. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I have it all unlocked as far as release dates, so it's not like all of this one first and all that. So it's just by what's releasing when. But yeah, it's tomorrow, starting at the same time. We'll see how we get through and what I feel about it, how I make it through. But I'll try to keep give you a heads up for whenever I start some of the multiplayer ones to get you in there for like
Cool.
Turtles in Time or whatever.
Sounds good. Steve, my man, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's for those of you that don't know, I was away at a work trip all week, so this is my first full day back. I was hoping to have a video for you all Thursday, but couldn't really do it from the hotel, also with none of my stuff. So I'm hoping to get something to put together this weekend. I just picked up the new iPhone, so I'm thinking maybe
Nice.
like an RE comparison if I can get stuff to download on this thing. Um, but yeah, so I haven't played anything this week because I don't know why, but I decided not to bring my Switch on the trip. I was just thinking, oh, I'll be working so much, I just won't. But then
What?
every night in the hotel, I was like, why didn't I bring anything?
I
So
know. Yeah,
That
I cannot travel without my Switch. I just can't
no,
do it. Yeah.
that's
yeah, I don't know
that's
what
weird.
came over me. I just thought I'd be so busy that I wouldn't have time, and it turned out I had lots of time and nothing to do.
Oh
Oh,
So
that's the
no.
I'm
worst feeling. That's
glad
the
to be
worst.
back.
Yeah. Well, we are glad to have you back, man. We've gotten you on two GVG casts in a row. I'm so
I
glad that you're
know.
finally
I'm
back
I'm
and
sorry.
Weird.
full, and we missed you, man.
Right, right. I'm feeling
Yeah.
I'm feeling like this might become a regular habit at this point.
Well, we're
Being here,
super.
not being here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're super glad to hear that. But who we're also super glad for is our amazing sponsor, the Game Orb. The Game Orb is a YouTube channel that brings commentary and gameplay footage from the Nintendo Switch and Xbox Series X gaming systems. He's recently started streaming on Twitch as well, but it'll take some time to get into that groove and add new Twitch elements over time. And while it might not be for a while, the VODs for his Twitch streams will be available to watch on his YouTube channel in the future. His current goal is to not only to reach affiliate status, but to do it before TwitchCon in October so we can have the affiliate name on his TwitchCon badge. So if you want to support him on Twitch, along with his YouTube channel, we've got links to both channels in the description. And as I always say, they have been sponsoring us from the very beginning, supporting us at our highest Patreon tier. So please go show them some love, subscribe, follow them on both YouTube and Twitch. Check out their videos, like them. We love the Game Orb. The Game Orb loves us, and we could not be more thankful for their sponsorship. So please go show them all the love.
Absolutely.
Also,
And TwitchCon's coming up, so hopefully they're going to make that goal.
I hope
Yeah.
they do. We're pulling for him. We're definitely pulling for him. Also, we got a couple of patron birthday shout outs this week. Happy belated birthday to Ace Gibbo, who celebrated their birthday yesterday, the 21st, and happy almost birthday to Alex J91, who is celebrating their birthday tomorrow, Saturday the 23rd. So happy birthday to you both. And
Happy
Alex in
birthday.
particular, I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
meeting you because Alex is going to be at the Sonic Symphony here in Los Angeles next Saturday. And I'm
Ooh.
so
I
excited.
hate
Yeah.
you.
I can't
John,
wait,
like,
man.
I know you were hyped after John
Oh,
did his video and talked about it. Like you were just chomping at the
dude.
bit.
I was already hyped for this concert, but John said it was like the best video game, live concert he's ever
He
been
just said
to.
it was the best concert he's been
Best
to.
concert. That's true. He did. And I was already hyped because it's live Sonic music, but he said it's amazing. The energy was awesome. And they confirmed that Johnny Gioeli of Crush 40 is going to be there at the concert on Saturday. So I'm getting ready for some Crush 40 live goodness, man. I'm so excited. Steve, I wish you could drive up and, well, not anymore. You're in Seattle now or Washington.
Drive down.
But drive down. I wish you could fly here and come with me, man. And you too, Derek. It's just a much longer trip for you.
Yeah, it's painful. It comes to Seattle, and so I'm planning to go, but it won't be here till next year. So I'll have to wait quite some
Yeah.
time to see it. I think it's early January that it comes to Seattle, but after hearing John's glowing review of it, I'm like, yeah,
Ah.
I gotta go. It's probably worth the trip.
I've gone to
I-
so few concerts. The only ones I've been to is the Symphony of the Goddesses, like really early on, and then there's a Final Fantasy concert at E3 that I went with Amy that I got a chance to go to. That's it.
Right. Didn't you and I go to a Kingdom Hearts one, though? We went to
yes,
a
we
Kingdom
did. Yes, I did
Yeah,
forget about
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. Kingdom Hearts 3 was sort of on its way, so I just not been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah, the funny
Right.
thing is, my friends at Square Enix invite me to concerts all the time, but they're always in LA, so I never
Yeah.
go. Ash goes to them for me, but
know.
I've never been to any of the ones that they've invited me to. Sorry, Square, but if you ever hold one in Seattle, I'll go.
I know that they invited you to the recent FF concert, which you forwarded the tickets to me, and then they invited me and my wife to the Nier concert a few
Nice.
years ago before the pandemic started and all that craziness. And that was awesome too. So they seem to keep inviting us, and I hope they keep doing it because I'm very lucky to live like 10 minutes away from where they always have these concerts at LA Live. So hopefully they keep inviting us. But man, yeah, I am so excited for Sonic Symphony, and yeah, I'm certainly going to be comparing and contrasting my experience with John's Symphony once I get to go. As for me, I have basically just been keeping up with freelance work and trying to finish Sea of Stars. I'm at the very end of it. Man, I love that game. I just it starts off slow, but man, once the story picks up, it really does not let up all the way. I assume through the end. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I am at the last final dungeon. So not last final, just the final. There's no
The
such thing
last
as
of
a
the
last
final
and final.
dungeons.
Yeah, but I'm at the final dungeon, and I know there's a post game thing to do with a true ending, so I'm going to do that as well. But yeah, I'm at the very end. I've really loved it, and if you love classic style JRPGs, I have said this before, but I cannot recommend enough that you go check it out. Other than that, once I finish that, I'm gonna go right back and finish finally Tears of the Kingdom. I am at the final story quest. Like now, I've done everything I want to do. I've
Wow.
100%ed the stuff I want to do. I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm not getting all the Korok seeds, not all that
No,
nonsense.
don't bother with that.
But no, but I have gotten so much incredible gameplay out of Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm finally ready to see it through and finish it and experience.
Out
I
of
keep hearing that it's one of the most amazing set pieces Nintendo have ever done, like the whole finale.
out of curiosity, Ash, what did you 100%?
So I did basically I did all the shrines, of course, and then
Okay.
I on my own I found about I want to say 80% of the caves and the wells. But I wanted, the caves are so interesting and different from one another. I really wanted to see them all. So I used a guide to just, fill out the rest of the caves and the wells and just kind of wrap that up. But yeah, so shrines, caves, wells, that's pretty much it. I'm not upgrading all the armor. I'm not doing the Korok seeds.
No,
It's time for me to be done with this game.
Did you
So,
did you do the underground?
I did. I also
Okay.
did all the light routes. Yeah, I did light up all the light routes, and that was fun. But yeah, I'm ready to finally finish it, and then I'm still angling to hopefully fit in Final Fantasy 16 before the deluge of October
I'm
games.
I'm trying, but I have no hope. I'll be honest. Let's.
Yeah.
There's no
Oh,
way it's happening.
well,
FF16, I lost interest in it pretty rapidly. I'm
yeah,
having an issue with some of these bigger games this year.
Hmm.
It's like I play them, I enjoy them briefly, and then they just don't get their hooks in, and I move on to something else. Uh,
yeah,
but I'm hoping that kind of November, December timeframe where we're all kind of starting to do our research for Game of the Year is where I'll be able to revisit those games and find the time to actually play through them. But
yeah,
at this point, between now and the end of October, I feel is almost written off for me. Like I'm gonna keep playing what I'm playing now, and I'm going to, then come October 20th,
well,
there's too much stuff to play at that point. So I'm gonna
No
try to
kidding.
break through those, and then fortunately, two of them I imagine are pretty small. I don't think Wonder and Superstars are like
right.
long games.
Watch us be
Um,
surprised at Wonder and be like a 20 to 25 hour game.
I
oh
know,
my
right?
God, that would be a blessing and a
Because
curse at this
I don't
point.
think
Exactly.
anybody expected Pikmin 4 to be as long as it was. So
That's true.
Nintendo might shock us.
I
I
hope they do with Wonder, to be honest. I
Me
mean,
too.
it's oozing with charm, so I can't imagine that I'm going to pick up that game and not like it. The one I anticipate being the real big time sink for me is going to be, of course, Spider-Man 2. With, it took me 3 years to platinum that game, so
Wow.
Well, speaking of Spider-Man 2, it may not be as much of a time sink as you think, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit in our
Yeah.
news. With Mario Wonder, I have a feeling it could be longer than maybe we're thinking because the way the world map works and expands, I can see them like going Super Mario World style with it and packing away hidden courses in every corner of that
Or,
world map. I'm hoping that's what they do.
or even pull a 3D world where it's like, up, here's your 8 worlds, or here's your
Yeah.
worlds. You can get a sense, and then it's like, oh, go into the sky, and there's even more.
yeah.
I'm still crossing my fingers that Rosalina ends up being a hidden playable character like she was in 3D World
You
because
know
we've
what?
never had her in a 2D game. I want to
I'm
play as
gonna
her in a
say
2D game.
this.
Mhm.
I don't want, if we're getting a hidden character in that game,
Uh,
I would vastly prefer that we got Pauline. If we
that would
got
be really
That'd
cool.
be
that
cool.
would be an
Yeah.
even better swerve in my opinion.
Why not both though? Why not both? Let's just
Well,
get
well,
them.
I'm
both
Throw 'em
still,
sure,
all in
but if we
there.
hey,
had to
I'm
choose
still
one,
actually
Yeah.
rooting for Donkey Kong.
that would be
Okay.
cool too. DK would fit that art style really well too.
Mm-hmm.
I always say this, but surprise us with Wart, Nintendo. Bring back Wart. I've just been wanting him to come back and make a cameo in a game other than Link's Awakening. Make an appearance in another Mario game. Damn it. But yeah, super excited for Wonder. But I am going to start with Sonic Superstars because I'm pretty sure that's going to be the shortest of the
There's
three. I know it is.
Yeah.
a
So
solid case for Wart now that you mention it in Wonder.
yeah,
Wart is a dream character, and Wonder is a very dreamlike game from what we've seen.
True,
well,
but we've already had Bowser established. Unless he's just going to be
That's
a
true.
boss, like it could be the same thing as Tatanga in Mario Land 2.
right. And while I
True.
do agree, Steve, it would have been even more appropriate for him to be like a secret super boss in Mario and Luigi Dream Team because that literally is a
I
game about
wish.
dreams. And they didn't do it. It was the perfect time to bring back Wart as a cameo in
That's
Luigi's
fair.
Dreams, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. Well, we could keep waxing poetic on these 3 games that we're super excited about forever, I think, but we do have some super chats and some news to get to. So first off, our good friend Jaden Buck with $10, thank you so much, with the Lazy Crazy Question Friday, number 99. Oh my god. Well, it looks like I'm just nearing 100 crazy questions. With that in mind, which of them would you consider to be my craziest crazy question so far? I don't.
Oh boy.
Big enough to remember 99 crazy questions. I'm sorry. I would have to go back and look at them and scroll through. I am genuinely sorry. Do you guys remember?
I'm wildly unprepared for this. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
I'm gonna make one up, and it might have been one, but the date, marry, kill about each other, that was weird. That was kind of crazy.
There we go.
Was I here for that one?
Like I said, Ash, I made it up. I don't know if it's real or not, so I'm just gonna say it's that one. So that was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Date Steve, marry. Oh God, I don't want to kill any.
You don't bring me home to mama. That's right.
Anyway, yeah.
It's funny because that I was believable. That was a believable one, Derrick, because that's definitely the tenor of the questions that
I don't want to kill any of you.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't possibly. Next up, we got Disney Duncan with 2 super chats for $7 total. Thank you so much. First off, apparently the strike might end, and I assume you're talking about the SAG-AFTRA strike. I had not heard that today yet. I certainly hope it does soon, but of course, I only want it to end if those striking are getting a fair deal, because they obviously deserve it, and I want them to be treated properly.
I've not seen any news about that, and I feel like it would be everywhere if that was actually happening. But I'd like it to end too, because there's a little thing that came out today that somebody talked to blanking on her name, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's totally up for trying to take on the role of Dr. Correa in One Piece, which has been a fan casting for years for this live action version. Like, if we ever get a season 2, and we're getting a season 2, so man, break this strike so we can get her on this show. That'd be awesome.
Just pay people what they're worth. It's not complicated. Just pay people what they're worth.
And that's the crazy thing. Every time they show, like, it's like, oh, it's too much, but no, it's like what, 0.3%, and that's all they really get to get everything that these guys want. It's like, it's so greed.
One thing I will say though that came out of this whole strike that I thought was really cool is that John Oliver, the host of Last Week Tonight, decided to just go on a stand-up tour, and he did that so that in the absence of being able to do his show, he could pay his whole writing team from the proceeds of his tour. He's just like, he's eating all the cost of travel and doing all that himself, and just giving the profits to his writers so that they can continue to live while they're on strike. Which I'm like, that's what every famous person should be doing right now.
There's
like,
been
100%.
A bit of that, like the Family Guy creator, Seth MacFarlane, just donated $5 million to the charity, the proceeds to try to help keep to help the strikers. So that's cool as well.
And as Searchman DS in our YouTube chat specifies, we're actually talking about the WGA. So apparently it was on CNN, according to Duncan. But yeah, so hopefully it's over soon, as long as they're getting compensated fairly. Just pay people what they're worth, damn it. And then Duncan's other super chat for how Mortal Kombat 1 ended up on Switch. I wonder if it'll be the same for that Harry Potter game. I'm not going to dignify it by calling it by its actual name, because screw what's her name? J.K. Rowling. Yeah, screw her. But yeah, I wonder if it will be. Who knows? I don't particularly care. But for Mortal Kombat 1, I do hope it is fixed. They have said, Ed Boon has said they're committing to a fix.
I can't believe Ed Boon allowed that to go out.
Me too,
honestly, but oh gosh.
But what's funny is that the visuals are so bad that in a way, some of the fatalities are a little scarier and more just creepy to look at with how bad the models are. So yeah, I don't know how it released in that state, but hopefully they are gonna bring it up to par for all the people who did buy the Switch version. So
we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Next up, we've got $2 from Blah6 saying, thank you very much, saying happy 30th birthday to Amy Rhodes tomorrow. I didn't realize it was Amy's 30th.
Oh, yeah.
Nice, very nice. Well, we got some Sega news to talk about later today, so that's very appropriate. And then the last super chat for now, before we move on to the news, our good friend Bongo Lover is back with $5 Canadian. Thank you. Did you guys see Ichibong's cameo in the Infinite Wealth trailer? Jokes aside, this new game's going to be a big tearjerker for big Yakuza fans like me. And yep, we will be talking about that trailer shortly. And in fact, you know what? That's a perfect segue. So let's go ahead and move on to our news. And let's talk about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's releasing on January 26th, which I think is a lot sooner than any of us were maybe thinking, because we've seen and heard so little about the game prior to Tokyo Game Show. I was thinking maybe summer at earliest, but keeping up with this trend of way too many hype games releasing too closely together, we're getting Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on January 26th. And Steve, I know you were checking out the trailers shortly before we went live, and man, how great does this look?
I gotta say, I'm watching the trailer right now.
Okay.
It looks really, really good. I was a big fan of Like a Dragon. You know, I played it at the start of this current gen, and I thought it was fantastic. I still need to finish it, if I'm being honest.
Same. I understand. It's a big game.
It's a big game. Yeah, it's a pretty meaty RPG. So I don't get a whole lot of what I'm seeing here. Why Ichiban appears to be in Hawaii, but I'm sure that if I beat the game, I'd have a better understanding of why he's here for the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm here for it. You know, I like this new direction that the series is taking, and yeah, give me more. It was funny, it was interesting. I'm sure the story gets more compelling as you get further into it, but this just puts the original, up on my radar for something I need to beat by the end of the year now, because this thing's right around the corner apparently, which I will say, broadly speaking about games in general, I love it when we get a short announced to release cycle. I don't like when we get games announced and then we're 3 years out and we still don't have a release date for the game. Looking at you, Metroid Prime 4.
Seriously. Yeah. What about you, Derek? Did you get a chance to check this out before we went
I'm
live?
actually watching it right now, and I've yet to play a Yakuza game. I've not tried Like a Dragon 7. But just by watching this, Ichiban is such a lovable character. Like, I know
love him so
nothing about this, but the way this guy acts, how personable he is, it's like, how does the series just keep coming up with the most lovable Yakuza members? Like, what the heck?
I know, and seeing him and Kazuma Kiryu team up it's just so damn cool. I love the image I put on the thumb today of them like standing back to back. I won't go into too much into the story trailer because it's actually shocking how much they reveal. It feels like they reveal a lot. But as one of our patrons was saying earlier, it's going to be a tearjerker. I have a feeling. I haven't played all the Yakuza games. I mainly just played Like a Dragon, and I've dabbled in the others, but I know quite a bit of Kiryu's like history and like his story. So, and I know how, of course, beloved he is by fans, and it certainly seems like his story is coming to a certain culmination, given that something we learn about in the trailer. But yeah, I won't go into spoilers just in case people are like going on media blackout for it, because that story trailer, it is 10 minutes long and it goes into some surprising details. Story aside, I did watch the gameplay trailer as well. It's like 5 minutes. You can move your characters in battle now. So whoever character's turn it is, you can actually move them in real time, which is something that Yakuza 7 was a bit of a letdown. Like, characters would position themselves automatically, and they wouldn't always do a very good job of it. So I think it's a huge improvement that you can now manually move your characters on their turns. And, the pound mates are back, those absolutely wacky, over-the-top summons. You can summon, like, a giant whale, it looks like now. And I think, like, that's what it is about Like a Dragon that I love so much. It perfectly encapsulates the chaotic side of Sega. I love chaotic Sega, like those wacky, old-school Sega arcade games. Like, that's my favorite version of Sega, like Crazy Taxi and Afterburner and all that cool stuff, Outrun. And this is, like, that chaotic version of Sega encapsulated in a Yakuza game essentially. So that's what I love about this series so much. And I don't know when or if I'll have time to play it upon launch, because this is coming out the same day as Tekken 8. What the hell?
And only
what the hell?
Like, not that long before Persona 3 Reload and a month before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like, Dear
It's
God.
nuts. It's
I
absolutely nuts.
actually surprised to hear you say that it's a struggle between this and Tekken 8 for you. I like Tekken, but this is an easy play this instead kind of
Well,
situation for me.
no, that's true. I didn't mean to imply that like those two, it's a hard choice for me. I do like Tekken as well, but if I had to choose just between those two, it's definitely Like a Dragon. I just mean in general, it's coming out in the same day as Tekken. It's coming out like a day before Apollo Justice Trilogy. Then there were Persona
See,
3
but those are
Reload.
old games. You've probably played those already, right?
The Apollo Justice Trilogy I haven't, but that's also kind of a special thing for me because my wife and I play those together. And the Apollo Justice games
That's fair.
have been trapped on handheld platforms until now. So we can finally play 4, 5, and 6 together on the big screen, which is a huge deal for us. So that's why I'll be picking up Apollo Justice day one for sure. But I'll be working on that. We only play those together, so I'll be working on that alongside maybe Like a Dragon. I might just maybe that's what I'll be playing at that time. But once FF7 Rebirth hits, that's it. That's all.
Yeah, I obviously getting 7 Rebirth, but it's really do have to just pick and choose what the heck we're going to play at that point. And I mean, I'm still trying to beat stuff from this year, so
exactly.
Who knows?
Yeah, I still wanted to try and fit in Spider-Man Miles Morales before 2 comes out. That's probably not going to happen. There's just so much. There's so much.
Wait,
like you
Miles
said,
Morales is like a 10-hour game. I think you're probably convincing yourself it's longer than it is because you can play that in a weekend.
That's true. That's true. Well, then I'm certainly going to try because I want to be primed and ready for Spider-Man 2.
I recommend it because I suspect, obviously I have no way of knowing, but I suspect that they'll iterate on the iterations they made for the combat engine in Miles Morales. Mm-hmm. And I've been replaying that because there's, for some reason, a platinum Miles Morales, and I hate that they did this. You have to beat the game twice.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah. Like the last trophy is literally just beat the game on New Game Plus. I'm like, why do you do that?
Yeah, I never like those trophies.
I technically to get the platinum in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you had to beat it twice too. But hard mode was so fun that I didn't care. Like I love hard mode in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
And I don't even mind a good NG Plus run, but it has to add something. And in Miles Morales, you get one new skill on the skill tree. And I'm like, that's not enough to make me want to play the entire campaign again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I also hate difficulty trophies that don't stack. Like, when you beat a game on, like, very hard, you should get the trophies for hard, normal, easy, and very easy. Yeah. I can't stand it when they don't do that. Thankfully, I kind of bounced off trophies and achievements fairly quickly. I had a phase when they were still kind of new that I was like, oh, yeah, these are cool. I'm going to go for everything. I stopped that pretty quickly when I realized I just did not have the time, even, decade plus ago when I was younger.
So super specific that she's like, I don't want to bother with this.
Yeah. There are very specific games where I'll go.
Oh no. I forgot the promise I made. Hello.
That is true. But yeah, so really exciting stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of just trophy and achievement hunting because I just don't have time for it. I really don't. So I guess really quick, we'll interrupt because you were talking about the promise you made, Steve. Our good friend and patron, Mix Becca's just donated $69.69. Thank you so much, saying got the best news in a long time this week and wants to celebrate by causing chaos. So, Steve, why don't you explain for us what chaos she's talking about?
You might remember once upon a time that I challenged all of you out there in internet land to slam in a $69 donation so that I would get in a bathtub and stream for y'all. And I mentioned on the last episode I was on that I would in the following week solicit super chats to that end. So here we are.
Yep, here we are.
So it sounds like it's time for season 2 of Bath Boys to come back. Now, what I did mention is that obviously the more $69 super chats we get, the more of us will end up doing this. So you've locked me in, and I gotta say, I feel a little singled out. If any of y'all want to see,
you feel
Ash,
singled out when you're
Derrick,
the one who issued the challenge. What the hell?
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen. This isn't about fairness right now. This is,
you know what? I
do
do still have. Right, True enough. I do still have that frozen awful grape, but like that Frozen 2 branded grape bubble bath in the bathroom. I still have it. Listen, for another round.
I still have the heart-shaped shades. I have a deeply vulgar T-shirt I can wear.
Nice.
I'm ready for this. I was born ready for this. But I'm just saying, if you want the rest of the guys to do it, I mean, maybe there's a way to make them do it too.
Yeah, that's
But
true. And
I will
still have
see you all
my
next
summer hat.
Friday in
Yep.
very cold water. It was 65 degrees inside my house today, so
You're not
it's
used
gonna
to
be
that.
great.
You're freezing. You're gonna be wearing pants.
Well,
Oh, I wore pants last time. It didn't help.
thank you again, Becca, not only for causing this chaos and locking Steve into a bathtub stream, but also for the incredible donation. You've been an amazing supporter and a good friend, and we just really appreciate you. So thank you
For me to break
very
out the
much.
lights in the tripod.
Exactly. So, Steve, we were just talking about Spider-Man 2 recently, and you said in our intro that you were concerned that it would take you a long time to get through this game, and it may not actually be the case because Insomniac have come out and said that they are focusing on quality over unnecessary quantity. Just the story alone, about 17 hours to beat. Story plus side stuff, 30 hours to platinum, 44 hours. And I
That's
love
good.
this.
That's
I
so
love-
reasonable. It's amazing.
Yep. I love it. I think more games should be like this in terms of just culling the bloat and just, I love Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't need to be spending that much time in one game. And
They
I
don't
really
feel
like it.
a need
Yeah.
to just like we need to make it twice as big. And the funny thing is, there is more landmass here, but they found a way to just keep it interesting because, man, if you go out of your way a lot of time in Spider-Man, it really does pull away from the plot after a while. It's like, man, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, especially if you do all the side stuff like you were saying. And yeah, I love this. I love the idea of a shorter, tighter experience for Spider-Man 2. And I'm glad. I'm so relieved it's not like 80, 90 hours because that's kind of what I was thinking it was going to be. Were you kind of in that mind headspace too, Steve?
Yeah, so for me, I remember towards the end of my time with the Spider-Man Remastered, because that's the one I most recently played. I was just kind of chasing down crimes. I was going to every district and having to complete I got to do 5 random crimes, and they have to be from specific groups. And I felt like I wasted so much time, like Derrick said, pulled out of the story. I was just like, oh, well, I mean, I want the platinum, so I'm going to do this. Hearing that the platinum will only take 40 hours or so, I think I probably spent 120 or 130 getting the platinum for that game. So that's a pretty huge, I don't want to say reduction, because like Derrick also said, the map's bigger, but an optimization, right, of playtime. So I'm pretty grateful for that. I think that that's the right way to do it. I think I talk a lot about games respecting the player's time. And there's lots of games that don't do that. Looking at you, Persona 5. But I think that, I like that they kind of realize that folks want to play more than just one game a year. And for a lot of folks, a game that takes 100+ hours to complete, that's like it for them. That's all their free time. So, and I feel that one in my bones. So, yeah, I think that this is a good move. It's smart, and it frees us up, right? Because this game comes out on the same day 2 other huge games come out. So It feels nice to think like, oh, I'm not going to be stressing to beat this game. I can still enjoy Sonic and Mario in that same chunk of time.
Exactly. Right. Well, before we move on, we have another piece of breaking news. More chaos has been sown by our amazing patron and community member, Evie Plays, with another $69.69 super chat. Thank you so very much. Here, how about another one joins you in that tub? Love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys just chill in the tub. Well, it unfortunately can't be together because we're in different states, but we will both, 2 of us now are in the tub. I guess that's you and me now, Steve, right? Is that,
you gotta use that bubble bath, apparently.
Right.
All right. I guess I'm locked in for a tub stream as well now. And seriously, though, thank you so much for your incredible donation. That is very, very kind of you. And a tub stream 2 tub streams are now happening, me and Steve. So
2 or just one at the same, both of them at the same time?
That's a good question because we did them separately last time.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it how you like it, y'all. You let us know what you want.
Yeah, you tell us.
Yeah, Becca's and Evie, you can tell us how you want us to orchestrate this mess.
I just love it. And our wonderful community member, Sonicu, in live audience, way too kind. Holy moly, Ash finally gets to really show off the guns. What a dream. Yes. those guns that I'm known for. I am incredibly fit and muscular. That is 100% true. 100%.
As a thing that is true about me.
Yes, exactly. Well, we were just talking earlier about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth's awesome trailer. And speaking of awesome trailers, we got a new trailer for the Onimusha. And, well, we got a surprise reveal of the Onimusha animated series
I don't
that's
remember this being
premiering on... Me neither. Yeah, I don't think this was a thing until a couple of days ago when they announced it. And there's an animated series based on Onimusha premiering on Netflix on November 2nd. And you guys, it looks great.
Yeah.
Man, I'm actually watching it right now, and I was watching a little bit of it earlier while we were chatting, and this looks like it could be another Castlevania level anime. Like, it looks really nice.
Potentially, it's being done by Takashi Miike, who has just a insane career, and he's done video game adaptations before. He's done Yakuza, and he's done Ace Attorney. Both are
Right. Yep.
uneven as far as I've heard. I've never watched either of them, but I've heard from a lot of people that they're kind of uneven. But this is going for a more animated. This is going more animated, so it has a chance to be maybe a bit tighter. I guess doesn't have to worry about the weirdness of it. But it's also like outside the gauntlet, I don't see anything from Onimusha in this game or in this trailer.
Right.
It's just kind of doing its own thing, which is what Castlevania did. It took the sort of iconography and did its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Oh no, I was gonna say the other thing I like. He did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, by the way, like a live action JoJo.
Oh yeah.
Right.
He's also Travis Touchdown's favorite director. If you play No More Heroes 3,
right.
every cutscene in between levels is Travis talking about his favorite Miike films, which is just amazing.
I was reading up a bit on him, and he's well known for going really hardcore as far as like the violence and whatnot in that, to the point that he was invited to direct an episode of the Masters of Horror anthology series, which it just has a bunch of episodes directed by known horror directors that allowed them relative creative freedom and relaxed restrictions on the violence and sexual content. His was so out there, too disturbing. It was deemed like Showtime is like, nope, you're not showing this one, banned. You cannot show this out. It's just too much. So even with the creative freedom, it's just too wild.
Yeah.
What is this man doing for Onimusha? That's the question.
That is the question. And maybe the fact that there isn't that much, or well, like you were saying, Derek, maybe it seems like anything from the games in this. Maybe that's why I'm kind of into it, because for whatever reason, I never really got into the Onimusha games. They just never really grabbed me, but this trailer is grabbing me, so I'm definitely going to check it out. And man, in terms of like cool Netflix animated series, we are eating over the next few months, because we got Onimusha, we got Castlevania, and we got Scott Pilgrim. Like, there's a lot of good stuff coming, and Onimusha just seems to be adding to it. So I'm definitely going to at least give it a chance and watch the first couple episodes, and if I like it, I'm just going to watch the whole thing, because it looks pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we got a couple more stories today to talk about. Obviously, I did put Solid Snake on the thumb today, and that's because Konami. There's been a little bit of confusion about how exactly the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is going to shake out per platform in terms of resolution and performance. And Konami have finally released the official details, and they're, I think, pretty much what you would expect. You're getting 1080p on PS5, PS4, and Xbox Series X and S, and on Switch actually. And Steam. Of course, in handheld mode, though, you are getting 720p because the Switch's screen maxes out at 720p. And, of course, you are dealing with 30 FPS on Switch, but every other platform, 60 FPS. So, now, of course, it is by game 2. Metal Gear Solid 1 is capped at 30 across platforms because it's a PS1 game. That makes sense. But MGS 2 and 3 are going to be 60 FPS on every platform except Switch. And I want to pose the question to you guys. These 3 games, assuming you were going to get the Master Collection, would you rather have them in a portable format and deal with the FPS cut, or do you want the full experience on the big screen?
That is tough.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead, Derek.
I'm basically gonna repeat you. Like I don't plan on picking up this collection anytime soon. There's just too much else, and I don't have time to replay these Metal Gear games. But if I did pick them up, would I prefer to play it on the console I associate Metal Gear with, the PlayStation, or would I get it on Switch where I could have it mobile?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't have. I like the Metal Gear Solid series. I don't feel a big need to replay these games. But I think if I had to choose, I'd probably go with Switch, just because of it's nice to have it portable.
For me, I think it's PlayStation. I just think that, like Derrick said, it's a PlayStation franchise. Yeah. But for me, the bigger thing is I don't understand and don't like it when a game runs at a slower frame rate than it did when it came out. Mm-hmm. So MGS2 was 60 FPS on PS2. Having it cut down to 30 FPS on a much newer console just feels weird. So I would just go with that. And I know people are going to light me up for saying this, but if I want to play it portably, I'll just play it on like the PlayStation Portal when that comes out. Like,
is that really portably though? At least
I don't know yet.
On the Steam Deck.
Yeah, you could do the Steam Deck though. Yeah,
that's true. I could do it on Steam and play it on my Steam Deck, but again, that's not the PlayStation. My brain would be weird about the button mappings, even though they'd be exactly the same.
That's kind of how I feel as well. I have a thing as well where I kind of, when I associate a game with a certain platform, I kind of want to keep it to that platform. And like you said, Steve, I'd rather, not replay MGS 2 and 3 at half the FPS. So I think, as cool as it would be to have these games portably, if I were going to get the Master Collection, I think I'd go with PS5. I associate Snake and Metal Gear with PlayStation, obviously, and I want to have that full experience. I wish I had the time to replay these games. I love this trilogy. It's one of my favorite, well, I say trilogy. Of course, there are more, but we're getting the first 3 in this collection, and I love this trilogy of games so much. It's one of my favorite set of 3 games ever, particularly Snake Eater, but of course, we are getting the remake of Snake Eater sometime, probably next year. So that also kind of takes away a little bit of my, need or desire to replay Snake Eater. But man, I'd love to replay the first 2 games. I love Metal Gear Solid, but like you were saying, Derrick, there's just too much else coming out that demands my attention. I don't have time to replay these games. I wish they were coming out at a quieter time, because I'd love to replay at least the first 2, but it is what it is. It's just too much good stuff. I wish I was a kid growing up right now with all this incredible media, not just games, but media in general at my fingertips, because, as a kid, you have all the time in the world. I can't imagine being a kid these days having stuff like Game Pass and Netflix, and there's so much stuff that you can enjoy, but as adults, you just don't have the time to do it. There was much time
I do love Moawe in our live audience chat. Yeah, a kid with infinite money though.
Yeah.
Because all this stuff is more expensive than ever.
That is definitely true. But I'd love to replay these games, but it just isn't going to happen. Although I am really looking forward to the eventual announcement of Volume 2, just because MGS4 will finally get off the PS3. We can finally have it on other platforms. Because despite kind of its weirdness, I do love me some MGS4. So, all right. So one more news story for today before we move on to our Patron topics and some more Super Chats. This game, I think, is probably the game that we're all 3 of us are maybe looking forward to most next year so far, and that, of course, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh my god, I can't wait. We've got some more details. So, it's going to be, the main story is going to be around 40 hours. They have confirmed that the story goes up to the end of the Forgotten Capital, but Nomura has detailed that the events will not play out in the same order or manner as we might be expecting, having played the original, but it does end at the Forgotten Capital.
Wild ending.
That's gonna be, and they did say, I can't. One of the statements they made about, I think it was Kitase, who made a statement about Rebirth, saying, "We know there's a scene you're dying to see," and it's like, damn it, you know exactly what you did there. Who knows what they're gonna do? It's gonna be wild. That's all I know. It's gonna be insane. Vincent, as cool as it was to see him in the recent trailer, he unfortunately is not going to be fully playable in this one. He's going to be similar to Red 13 and Remake, where he's a guest party member but not fully playable yet. The Rebirth title apparently has something to do with Sephiroth, and there's going to be a brand new episode starring Zack. So there's just so much to be excited for here. Oh my god.
So... I mean, 40-hour main story, 100 hours of extra content, total if you're trying to do everything in that game. And they said it very much works like the original, where it's not open world and that you can go anywhere, anytime. It's just that as you get further in the story, you can return pretty much anytime you want and just explore. Just opens up the world more and more, which Yes. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that sounds amazing. Vincent not being playable, it's unfortunate, but they have confirmed that the characters that are not playable in this game will be playable in this final game. So
Right.
if Vincent's not playable, Sid is not playable. So we'll guess get those two as playable in the final game.
Right. I am loving the scope of this. I was wondering how they were going to tackle the world map part of FF7 after Midgar, and it sure seems like they're doing a pretty damn good job of it.
When they said they were going to wrap up the story in 2 more games, I'm like, no way.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that they're doing what they're doing. This game seems to be so much more massive in scope than Rebirth was, than Remake was. And of course that makes sense to a degree because that was focused on Midgar, but still, I just wasn't expecting it to be as massive in scope as it seems to be. And they are continuing, thankfully, to lean into the more unhinged, chaotic parts of FF7 with like the gold saucer mini games and stuff, the chocobo racing, the 3D polygonal beat 'em up game, and the motorcycle chase.
And
I love it.
Previews are definitely showing some interesting aspects. I don't want to detail any of them because you leave the surprises, but there's some fun things in there.
I am looking forward to seeing, assuming they do, and I'm guessing they will. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do the Mog House or Moogle House mini game from the Gold Saucer, because that was just so weird and
It's just
and
a
quirky.
story. I don't know.
It's a story, but and the play. There's the play that you can be in. There's just going to be so.
God,
I love.
And if they maintained the different dresses and whatnot for that, they're totally going to have the different dates available.
I definitely think
yeah.
they will, and that's going to be interesting to see how all those play out. And with Remake, I was so worried they would water down Wall Market, but they didn't. They leaned into it.
I really cheered when I saw Andreas was back. It's like, yes, another dance sequence.
Yep, and we see Dio too, and he looks wild as like you would imagine him to look from the original game, but just with current tech. I can't, we could talk about this forever. We're all obviously incredibly hyped for Rebirth.
Do you think they're going to leave the Palmer boss fight in Rocket Town as is?
I hope so. I hope they do. I think they will, because again, they've still been keeping all those more unhinged, wacky elements of 7, unchanged, and really even been leading into them more. So I think they'll probably keep the Palmer fight. I just want to see Sid. We haven't seen him yet. I want to see how he looks in this form, in this Rebirth style.
Yeah,
he's really the only one we haven't seen. I think he's the main party member we haven't seen. So that'll probably be the next trailer. I would say. I would imagine they'll probably reveal him, because the last time we saw him in like a modern context was Dirge of Cerberus, only in like for a second. Advent Children, I guess, for a little bit longer, but that's the last time we saw him.
Dirge of Cerberus came out afterwards, so yeah.
Yeah, so Dirge of Cerberus for like a second in the one cutscene that they're all in together. So Rebirth coming February 29th. That is such a Square thing to do, to release it on on Leap Day. But yeah, once this game comes out, that's it. Every other game falls away from me until I finish Rebirth. It's just, oh man, cannot wait. Cannot wait. All right, well, that is all of our news for the day. We do have some more Super Chats, of course, because you all are so incredibly generous. And then we will move on to our patron topics for the week. So we've got 2 more Super Chats from Disney Duncan for a combined $10. Thank you so much. While I'm excited for Wonder, I'm getting Spider-Man 2 first because I've gotten a little Mario fatigue lately. Totally understand.
Understandable.
Don't tell Brandon that. I'm glad he's not here to hear that, because you would be breaking his heart if he had to hear that, because he loves him some Mario. So, but totally hear that. And then you also, going back to the strike, you heard the strike news on CNN. They're negotiating right now. Well, let's hope those negotiations work out. Next up, $5 Canadian from the Mama Luigi. Love that name. Thank you. Went on an 11K bike ride with my students today. Dang. Ready to pass out, chill with the GVG boys.
Wow.
Just got here, so hope you're all doing well. Yeah, that is amazing. I can't imagine. I'm not quite in that kind of shape. I can't imagine riding a bike that far, but good for you. That is amazing. Well done. And thank you for being here. We're glad you could chill and get some rest. Rest those muscles. That's crazy. Next up, Darthist with $2 Canadian. Thank you so much. How much Danimals do you think Ichi could chug? LOL. Meaning Ichiban, of course, from Yakuza.
Probably a fair amount.
I think so. Ichiban seems like he can do pretty much anything, so I'm going to say a fair amount. Maybe even infinitely I'm sorry, I'll see myself out. All right, next up, ABCDEFGH with $5. Thank you so much. Happy Friday, GVG. Just wanted to send some good Friday vibes. Well, sending good Friday vibes right back at you. Thank you. Next up, RecBCQ with $6.90. Thank you very much. I don't have $69 to throw out, but I need to participate somehow. I stand in solidarity with those who desire bathtub-based GVG content.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's definitely coming. It is. It is.
No,
definitely
don't
coming.
say it like that.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is definitely approaching. Wording. All right, last one for now is another one from Disney Duncan. Thank you so much for $5 more. Asking me, if Kingdom Hearts comes to the Switch 2, will I get them? Probably not, because I already have them on PlayStation, and that's also a franchise I associate with PlayStation, of course.
Yeah.
So, no, probably not. I don't need to own them on another platform. The lone exception is Melody of Memory, because that's a rhythm game, and I prefer the Switch controller for playing rhythm games, so that's like the one exception.
Speaking of, we got to play those Xenogears music tracks that just came out.
They did? Oh my god. How has it already been 3 weeks? I swear.
I'm behind on it. I got to play a bunch of those. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I only just recently played the Secret of Mana tracks they released 3 weeks ago, so I'm barely keeping up. I don't know what even is time. I know I always say that, but it's crazy. Well, if we get any more super chats, of course, I will read them out at the end of the show. But right now, we have got our Patreon topics to talk about, and as a reminder, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/GVGaming, where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. But if you support us at the producer tier for $10 a month, you can suggest topics for us to discuss each week, just like the ones we're about to talk about right now. And Steve, my man, why don't you get us started this week?
Sure. Mine comes courtesy of Vedran, who writes, what would you call your biggest gaming accomplishment? A collection, beating a hard game, etc. And I have 2 for this.
Okay.
Oddly appropriate because our good friend Soniku in our live audience, or one of our patrons, gifted me an illustration of myself as a character from Phantasy Star Online, coincidentally wearing the same outfit that one of my rarest gaming collectibles is wearing. I got a Phantasy Star Online Humar statue from Japan that I had been looking for about 20 years, and I found it randomly on eBay for like $100 one day. So I'll have to bust that out. It was part of my original GVG backdrop when we first started the channel, but it's been put away in boxes for a while. My achievement in gaming is 100%ing Mario 64 before anyone had it. And as a kid, that was wild because, one, that meant that there was no one online who had it. And if you don't know what gaming was like back in the 90s, games oftentimes came out in Japan, particularly Nintendo games, many, many months before they came out in the States. So if you imported a first-party Nintendo game from Japan, you had it well before American media even had it. So, at the time that I'm playing the game and trying to figure it out, I didn't speak any Japanese. I couldn't read anything. It was Mario 64, so I was playing it. I didn't know how many stars there were. I didn't know what I'd get if I got them all. And when I finally did get them all, of course I found out what that is. I won't say it in case someone out there doesn't know, but I got the reward, and it was pretty damn cool to my mind at the time. But also, I had no way of knowing that I'd actually completed the game. I was like, cool, I got a thing. What now? And when the game finally did come out, I realized, like, yep, okay, that was it. That was the completion reward. But I did it a solid 3 months. How
did you
before
figure out that you needed to collect
out.
100 coins? You just did it once and was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was on Babam Battlefield and I got my 100th coin because back then, the nice thing about being 14 years old and playing video games is you'll just do stuff like that just because you can. Like, you have all the time in the world. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see what happens if I get every coin on the map. And so I did, and I was like, oh, a star. That's going to be hard to do for every level. And but again, I remember it was 2 or 3 in the morning when I got the final star. What I then learned was the final star, and I wasn't supposed to be awake or playing games, and I was like, yes, just as quietly as I could.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I ended up getting busted because the N64 was not hooked up in the room I was playing it in, and then when my parents woke up in the next morning, it was.
Oh, no.
They're like, "Hey, Steve, what were you doing last night?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I don't remember.
What are you talking about? I wasn't up all night playing N64.
You got to cover your tracks that way, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm hopeful my kids are as dumb as I was.
What about you, Derek? Any gaming accomplishments you want to share?
I'm trying to really think through and like some of the major accomplishments I pulled off, and the only ones that really come to mind were the first time I, beat Super Mario Brothers as a kid, because that was
Mm.
huge. Because I was thinking it was like 6 or 7 at that point. So I'm like, and it's a hard. Even going back to it, Mario Brothers the original is kind of hard,
Oh
de-
yeah,
depending on
I'd
what
say
you
so.
do. So that was always a big moment for me. More recently, I still feel very accomplished, and I finished Dread mode in Metroid Dread, because that is
Oh yeah,
a sign
that's
of just how well designed that game is. That you can defeat every boss without getting hit. Everything can be dodged. It's really nice, and it definitely takes a while, but it's still fun. And yeah, man, I really enjoyed that one. I felt really accomplished. Trying to think of others. I remember doing a real big fist bump whenever I finally beat Sonic 2's final boss, because
oh that yeah.
that was harsh as a kid. You coveted those lives you got in the continues, because that was your only chance to figure out Silver Sonic and frickin' Death Egg Robot. So
Yeah,
nothing quite as
and
crazy as Steve's, but those are some of the ones that stick out.
well, and the hitboxes and when you can actually hit the Death Egg robot are so confusing when you don't
You
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's I remember that as a kid how frustrating that was because yeah, you run out of lives and continues. That's it, and you only get so many chances to figure out where and when you can actually damage that boss
Yeah, and not die. That's the
and
bigger
not die.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you get no rings. Man, for me, so I have two as well. The first one, I don't know if our Mega Man super fan community member 112 is watching, but if they are, they will appreciate this. So the post games in the Mega Man Battle Network and Star Force games are like really tough. They're really grindy. I never really cracked any of the Battle Network ones, but for Star Force, I actually did do I 100% in Star Force 2 and 3. And 3 in particular was really hard because toward the end of the game you have to do it like a double boss fight, like one after the other. You don't get a chance to heal in between, and they're powered up versions of two really hard bosses called Dread Joker and Acid Ace.
Oh, good.
And
I
you
have
got to
this to
beat
look
them in a
forward
row.
to.
Oh yeah, they are really hard. They're powered up versions of those bosses. You got to fight them one after the other. And I remember just beating my head against the wall trying to beat this boss gauntlet, and I just kept losing over and over again because it's really hard. And then the time I finally won, I beat Dread Joker, and I got down to like 1 HP in the second fight with the one with Acid Ace, and I think like Ace had like 400 HP or something left, and I was about to die. I was gonna get one-shotted, and somehow I went into that mode, that place where you're just playing like a god, and I somehow dodged all of his attacks and won the fight with like 1 HP left for half the fight. I don't know
Wow.
how I did it, but I'll never forget how good it felt. Somehow dodging every single attack and just going into that crazy limit break mode and actually winning that fight. Yeah, Ultra Instinct mode, Bolt Mouse X, exactly. My other one that I'll always remember is a lot of you already know that I was a tournament level DDR player back in my day. I was pretty damn good, and I got something like 80 to 90 AAAs over the course of all my time playing DDR, and that of course is hitting every step perfectly on the beat. And my hardest AAA that I ever got for the DDR fans out there, if you know, you know, it's a song called Stoic, and I AAA'd Stoic on heavy at an arcade in London. And the thing about Stoic is it's already a hard song. It's like a 9 footer, but there's a part at the end. There's a freeze at the end, and then the last like 10 seconds of the song after the freeze, they're slightly offbeat. They're slightly early, and of course I knew that because I played a lot of DDR. But I knew that I was like, okay, I've gotten everything perfect. I have to hit this last little bit perfectly and make sure to go a little bit early, and I did, and it was amazing. And
Wow.
to get that AAA felt so good because it was probably the hardest AAA I ever got. So yeah, those are my two gaming accomplishments I'm particularly proud of. But before we move on, we have some more
Oh my
breaking
god.
news. Oh my God, you all! Shrisock with $99.99. Thank you so much. Saying my phone doesn't do 69, so Steve, here's 99 instead. Well, thank you. Well, Steve was already committed, and so was I. I think more. You mean so, Derek? Here's 99 instead. I think you got to commit now too, man.
Do I know that it's not 60? No, I'm kidding.
It's not 69, so seriously. Oh my, well, I guess
that's
all three of us.
incredibly generous.
It is seriously generous, and yeah, we got the bathtub boys back. We gotta do it. Although we have not had John in a bathtub stream
That
yet.
is true.
We gotta get him to do that.
We could do a daylight stream and have John hop in.
Yeah. We got to do another earlier GVG cast where we can have John on because it's like 2 in the morning for him right now. But you gotta get him in a bathtub stream too. But yeah, all three of us are committed. That's it. So wow, thank you so much, Streesock. That is incredibly kind of you. All right, moving on. Derrick, what's your topic for the week, man?
My topic comes from Michael Knox, saying, how do you face a large single-player game like Zelda or Starfield? Do you try to play it all in one go or take breaks with smaller games? As I'm moving into adulthood, I found my general schedule with games harder than I thought, and then I thought it would be to figure out. And I wonder how you guys manage that sort of thing. It really is just a case-by-case basis. Like sometimes I just try to like focus on that one game, or stuff comes up. It's never other games that disrupt me. It's usually just life stuff that disrupts me. So I take breaks in between there, but I try to stay focused on that one thing. Now I say that, and I'm playing Messenger right now instead of either Final Fantasy 16 or Zelda. But my excuse on that one is that that Messenger is easier to play in 10-minute bursts rather than Tears of the Kingdom. Because you sit down with Tears of the Kingdom, you at least want to play with an hour's worth or something. And then just, needing late night time that I have not had for Final Fantasy 16. And that's sort of where I go. Like, if you can just squeeze in that hour here or hour there, that's how I get through a game. Even if it's a larger one, it's just you're still chipping away a little bit of it at a time. And just put away that little bit of time for yourself. This is your time to get things done if it's available or whenever you get a chance for it. And that's how I kind of do it. I used to be very much focused on one thing at a time, but because of not being able to play certain games in other places and having the Switch available that I can play it around, I typically have 2 going on. One on the PS5, one on the Switch. And that's how I sort of split it up. And it just depends on the time of day that I do. So, yep.
Gotcha. That's solid. What about you, Steve?
So for me, this is interesting because the very first piece I ever wrote about video games was about whether you pick up longer games in your backlog or you restart them. And that's kind of indicative of my approach, because I cannot play other games when I'm playing a big game. Because I feel like if I get distracted, I will move on from said big game, and then I'll spend so much time away that I'll forget what the hell I was doing and have to start over.
I forced myself, like when I played Persona 5 when it came out, I forced myself to fight that instinct and not restart. I just like, nope, I'll figure it out and I'll keep going. And thankfully I did, but because trust me, I've had so many games lost where I had to restart and then just the same thing happens again. But I sorry for interrupting.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, for me, it's just one of those things where I know that it'll eat away at me. If I don't remember what I did, I feel like I'm losing part of the experience of the game. And I just, like, the minute I move on to another game, the details of the one I was playing previously are, like, out of my head. And so, it's cool in a way, because sometimes I go back and I replay a game, and I'm like, oh, man, I forgot about all these cool moments I had. But, yeah, it's really hard for me, unless the game has, like, a built-in recap feature where it reminds me what was going on, then I find that I just disconnect from that game and I have to just pick it back up and start over. But which is where I'm at with Persona 5 all the time. So I will eventually like start it and just play it all the way through and finish it. Like I'll have to take a fucking vacation just to play that game. But for me it's just I'm like a one game guy for a while, with the exception of like maybe I'll dump a few rounds into Street Fighter or something in between.
So Steve is a monogamist.
Yes. I love it. That's really good. That's an Azran tier pun, man.
I
That's
just
really
it
good.
just came to me. I'm sure somebody else has done that before, but it just came to
That's
me. I don't know
great.
why.
I have the same issue. I sometimes feel like I need to restart long games if I take too much of a break away from them. So I really try to limit that. And when I have a long game that I'm playing, I try to focus on that one game. There are exceptions, of course, like, when a game comes out that is just I'm so hyped for that it demands my attention, I will put the longer game aside, such as with Sea of Stars. I put Zelda aside temporarily because Sea of Stars, I was like, there is no way I'm not playing that day one. But in general, I try to stick with that one game until I see it through because I don't want to take too much of a break and then feel like, oh, I got to start over. I don't remember what's happening. So typically, I stick with that one game. Although, like you said, Steve, you'll throw in a few rounds of Street Fighter here and there. I'll do the same thing, like with Smash or like Rocket League or something, Fall Guys. So I'll have another game on the side that isn't one I have to
Story.
commit to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not a story game, exactly.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much how I approach it. I try to stick with that one game as much as I possibly can. So yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for that topic, Michael. And I think that's the first one you've ever submitted,
I believe
if I
so.
research. So thank you very much for that. All right, and then my topic this week comes from Dad Alpha Lion, who asks, "It's the question of the century: light mode or dark mode, and are there any particular exceptions on any of your devices or apps?" And I chose this one because I have been subjected to the wrath of our community before over this. This is a weird one for me. So for most things, it's dark mode for me. Pretty much everything. Discord, Resetera, whatever, doesn't matter. I typically go with dark mode. But for some reason, the lone exception for me is the Switch's UI. I don't like dark mode on Switch, so I've stuck with light mode ever since the Switch launched. I dabble in dark mode sometimes. I'm like, maybe I've been missing something. Nope, I always go right back to light mode. I don't know what it is. It's the one thing that I don't like dark mode in, and I am one of those horrible sinners that actually has my Switch permanently in light mode. And Cutie
Ooh.
Caitlin says, "Ash, you flarkin' monster." So yeah, that's with a lot of people co-signing. So yeah, I know a lot of people don't. They hate it. They hate. It's
So
like it's a problem for when you play light mode on Switch. Go ahead, Steve.
I will say that I personally I do dark mode on everything.
Hmm.
And in some cases, like there's a darker than dark mode where it's just black, which I prefer.
Right.
The reason I do that though primarily is because a lot of my devices have OLED displays, and you actually save battery power by being in dark mode on an OLED display because the pixels are off.
Hmm.
On top of that, the like light mode on the Switch, like on the TVs that we have, it's really bad for the TV. So
Fair.
you can actually cause image retention if you're on the home screen too long in light mode on the Switch, which happened to Nick. So
Oh, geez. Okay,
Oh
fair.
wow.
I try to limit that anyway. Like, no matter what it is, what's on my TV, I don't ever leave it on the same image for too long, period, because I just don't. I know that's not good for a TV.
right.
So yeah. I know a lot of people are saying my poor eyes. I don't know. The light mode on Switch has never hurt my eyes. I don't get it. Although I do have one person in solidarity in YouTube chat, PK Deluxe, light mode Switch solidarity. There's one other person. There are dozens of us, dozens. Derrick, what about you? I assume you're probably also a dark mode Switch guy.
I'm dark mode Switch, but I was not at first. I was shamed into it. I
Okay.
too many of my home screen appeared too much. I got tired of people giving me hell every time it showed up that I was like, all
Yeah.
right, fine, I'll go to dark mode. And then that just got me into other dark modes. It's like, all right, yeah, like, I get it now. So I'll switch to dark mode on Twitter or whatever else there is and just leave it at that. But yeah, I got bullied. I got bullied into that whole thing. Although that being said, on Blue Sky, I am light mode.
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
so there it
Yeah,
is.
it's
I looked at dark mode on Blue Sky, didn't like it.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, and again, for whatever reason, I just don't like the way dark mode looks only on Switch. Everything else, though, Twitter, etc. I don't know. I use dark mode. It's weird. But yeah, I have had people try to peer pressure me into switching my Switch to dark mode, and I've held fast. I'm not gonna do it. I'm planting my feet firmly in the ground on this. I'm not doing it. I'm sticking with light mode.
Man, The hills you choose to die on, keyboards and light mode.
I know, that hasn't come up in a long time. Jeez.
I'm just bringing it back, man. It's tub time. We gotta remind people of the keyboard situation over here.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tub time, I sure hope we can get our good friends John and Brandon and Daniel all in the tub, either separately or together at one point. I'd like all of us to do a tub stream at some point. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all of our Patreon topics for the week. Thank you so much. One more reminder, patreon.com/GVGaming. If you support us at the producer tier, you can suggest topics just like the ones we just covered. And that does just about bring us to the end of the show, but we have some more super chats to go through, and then we will be heading out to our patron exclusive post show. So first off, we have, let's see, two more Disney Duncan super chats. Thank you so much for a combined $7, saying, I love Mario, I just had a bit too much lately. Totally fair. We all burn out on anything once in a while. And then asking you, Steve, what do you think of the guest characters coming to Mortal Kombat 1? Are there any other guest characters that you would want?
So far, the guest characters are really good. We're talking about Homelander from The Boys and Omni-Man from Invincible, which if you don't, if you're not familiar, they're like two lesser versions of Superman. And I agree that they're both very similar in nature, but the power difference between them is massive. Like Omni-Man rips through dimensions and murders entire planets and civilizations, where Homelander just seems kind of like a mildly superpowered bully. Like, when compared to Superman or even Omni-Man, like he's fast and strong and can fly, but you never get the impression that he could like take a hit from a tank and be fine. Like he'd probably die, or like certainly like an atom bomb or something would kill Homelander. But so yeah, I think they're cool. As far as ones I'd like to see, man, there's so many. I would love for them to bring back some of the ones they had. RoboCop, in my opinion, was like the best guest character ever. But if we're talking about somebody who has never come and who should have, I would say Ash from Evil Dead. He was at one point like a lock, to the point that they sent emails out with like the copyright information for Evil Dead in it, and we just never got him. It fell apart at like the last second. So I would love for them to take whatever they did for that and bring it back and see a finalized version of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I personally, I know you didn't specifically ask me, Duncan, but just really quick, I want to see John Wick. I think John Wick would be
sick. That's a good one.
Yeah, right? I would think that would be so cool.
I think it seems like Mortal Kombat likes to go on themes, like with we got 80s action stars at one point, then we got I forget what the theme was for horror icons for like Mortal Kombat X. This one seems to be like anti-heroes, superhero anti-heroes, or just outright villains. So along that idea, I don't think he's that relevant anymore or anything like that. But I think it'd be kind of cool to have Lobo from DC, the DC comics in there, because he's kind of wild with his power set and this bounty hunter and how he's kind of just always like his personality kind of works for it. So you know what? Let's go do that. Or we're talking villains and superheroes. Ash, this one's for you. Give us Shredder.
Oh, Shredder would be cool.
Give us 80s movie really Shredder. Cool. Like
yep.
I
would love to see Shredder in Mortal Kombat. That would be awesome. But yeah, thank you for that. That was a fun little topic to talk about, Duncan. And you actually have already sent two more super chats for $4 combined. Thank you. The first one saying the Switch 2 needs more themes. I think we can all easily agree with that, because the 3DS had so many cool themes, and I assumed they'd bring those back, but nope. Basic black and basic white. And then you're asking us, what are our favorite Tears of the Kingdom weapon fusions? For me, just from a visual standpoint, I know they're weak, but I like anything with like a Stalkoblin arm on it, because it's just weird to have like a wriggling skeleton arm at the end of like a proper weapon. So I just like the way that looks, even though they break like almost immediately. Anything that comes to your mind, Derrick?
I'm trying to think what I would do. I'm a sucker for just a big old spiked ball, so I like whenever I find one of those big spiked balls and just attach it to any kind of weapon. It's just like that's nice.
Nice.
It's basic, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Duncan. Wow, the super chats just keep coming in. So we got $10 from our good friend Wataniac. Thank you so much. Saying, I finished Celeste's Chapter 9 earlier today with a total of 4,730 deaths.
Holy crap.
Unquestionably the hardest thing I've done, and I strongly recommend you don't try it
I don't know
yourself.
if I ever tried Chapter 9.
I think I did briefly, and I'm like, you know what? I love me some platformers, but I don't need to do this. I love the game. I got the story. I'm good. I didn't need to do all the hardest challenges in that. But Wataniac, proverbial hats off to you.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
an amazing accomplishment. All right, we have a 3-part super chat from Meta Knight Guy Wee, and this is their first time ever super chatting. Thank you so
going
much.
Three for
Thank
going
you.
for the three for.
Yeah, triple super chat for a combined $40. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity. So we're starting off with, hi GVG, a multi-super chat apologies in advance. With the official English announcement / trailer yesterday for the next Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak for summer 2024, that'll be a fresh start for newcomers to the series. And then the next one says, many in the Trails community feel that Daybreak will be the series' mainstream hit, similar to Persona 5 and Fire Emblem Awakening. Derrick, about 1 year ago, you said you wanted to go into the series. How about Daniel? And then for the last super chat, is it possible to see either of you two either review or discuss Daybreak when it comes out, or do a discussion through one of the games before Daybreak releases, and just giving your comments, on the series outside of your other commitments? I'll let you answer that
I've
one,
been
Derrick.
curious about the Legend of Heroes series for a while, just because it has that cult classic status for a long time. And one of the ideas I had, that if I got through all the Dragon Quest games as part of that thing, because Dragon Quest, I was supposed to do more Dragon Quest games this year, not just one. I wanted to go back and do Dragon Quest 2 and so forth, but the Zelda retrospective took so much longer than I expected that I have not been able to get back to it and make that next commitment. My thought was, if that did well, I could do the same sort of idea except with the Trail series, and focus on and like take a look at all of those, because I know there's a definite fan base there, and I am curious about getting into it. But I know myself, and I want to start from the beginning where it really starts, because I know there's callbacks, I know there's connections. So I'd rather just start with Trails in the Sky, I think is the first one of this whole mega series that kind of builds off each other. I know you can enjoy each section kind of on its own, but I'd still like, I think you agree. You're kind of with me on that idea, right, Ash? Where you kind of like to start at the beginning of something that's a long saga.
Definitely. I don't like to jump in the middle of anything. I'm definitely one of those people who likes to play games in sequential order, watch movies in sequential order, definitely. The only Legend of Heroes game I played is the very first one that released on PSP. I don't know how that translates to like what that is in Japan. I don't know which one that is, but it was just called The Legend of Heroes, no subtitle. That's the only one I've played. I've heard Trails in the Sky, the trilogy of those games are like really good. But there's just such long games, and I just frankly don't have time to take on that many beefy games like that. But I know they're fan favorites for sure, and I'd love to someday if I could. So you never know, maybe one day. But thank you so much for those 3 super chats.
Yeah.
Meta Knight Guy Wee. Next up, we've got Blaker36 with $1.99. Thank you so much. Talking about the Switch, of course. I want yellow theme. My bedroom is yellow. Nice. My wife's favorite color is yellow, so you both have good taste. Very nice. And I think that's it. I think that's finally the end of our
One more from Disney Duncan.
Oh my God, one more from Duncan. Thank you so much for $2. Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite game of all time. Well, can't blame you there. It is an incredible game. So don't blame you. Before we head out, though, I do have to share this in our chat. So Steve posted his amazing art from Sonicu of him as the Phantasy Star Online character. Sonicu also did an amazing image of me, and I'm going to post it right here. Me as Mega Man Volnut wielding a Keyblade. It's so cool. I can't get enough of this. I am just so incredibly
really
thankful
nice
to you, Sonicu. Like, that is, you could not capture the essence of what I love in games more than Mega Man wielding a Keyblade. So thank you so much for that, Sonicu. And you are just an amazing artist. Oh my God.
Seriously.
Really, really good stuff. Well, that does finally bring us to the end of episode 75 of the GVG cast. We're 3/4 of the way to 100. We're approaching episode 100. That's crazy. Really, really briefly, I want to let you all know that I'm going to be on a stream with my dear friend Candace tonight. We're doing a stream called Tinder Moving Care, where we're going to play the full motion video like 90s game Tender Loving Care. Apparently it's really weird, really bizarre, but I'm going to be doing that with her on her stream tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, so about half an hour from now. She's awesome, so please do come support her stream and hang out with us. It'll be fun.
I was expecting you to say plumbers don't wear ties.
I want to do that one someday. I definitely do, but I've seen a trailer for Tender Loving Care. It looks unhinged. I can't wait to experience this with her, but yeah, she's awesome. Please do come hang out with us if you got some time tonight on Friday night. We really appreciate it. All right, with that said, we have to thank all of our patrons at the producer, well, all of our patrons, period, but also all of our patrons at the producer tier and above for helping make our show happen, make everything we do happen. We could not keep the lights on without you, so thank you so very much. And as always, we also have to give an extra special thank you to all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above, and those amazing, wonderful, incredible folks include Brandon Bovia, Cutie Caitlin, Fangs, Z Patty, Just Brian, Sky Blue Flames, Eastman 23, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Logan Daniel, The D-Pad, Blake, Joy Content, Angel Martinez, Vedran, Joshua Hunter, Benny Yao, Azran127, Black King, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Geeky Griffin, Lucky Wonderfish, Wataniac, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Andrew Medeiros, Darchi, Becca, Killamox, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber CPHT, Too Much Spaghetti, Bane 400, Ascaron 809, Rye Royal, Ryaner, Rain and Clouds, The Game Orb, Super Gamer Dude 101, Grantles, Ravelox, Rosa Pardo Bowling.
Hi, Mom.
Skull Kid Tiger, Dark Steel 01, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Cystic Warrior 29, DJ Jurassic, Derrick, Colin, Blaystar 25, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp, Keel, Brendan Hesse, Hustlebun, Noah Fitterer, Calvin Atkinson, Brainchild, the entire state of Wisconsin, Jim Wakeland, Longboy Shiggy, Aramis Baramis, Dylan, Kyle the Monarch, Dat Alpha Lion, Lord Metarex, Blaze Collard, Eric, Cat Evie Person 5, Peyton Thiel, Mega Beatman True Blue Reviews, Jung Ant, Ryan Hanley, The Game Jamie, and last but certainly not least, Alex. Thank you all so much. I'm so glad to finally be able to read that list again after a month. Thank you all so much. We love you. We can't wait to see you next week for episode 76, but for now, we are headed off to our patron-exclusive post-show, so we will see you next time. Good night and good vibes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.